Welcome to the fifth segment in Flipping the Tables special series from the September 26th through 28th Terra Madre Americas event in Sacramento, where Roots of Change hosted the Slow Meat Pavilion. Today's conversation features three practitioners who are building the direct ranch-to-consumer market in order to create a more fair, healthy, and resilient meat system in America. You will hear how these direct relationships heal the land, sustain ranchers, and diminish the power of the big three meat corporations that control 85% of the market. Enjoy the show.
Hi everyone, I'm so excited that you're here and we're all in this under this big umbrella for Roots of Change, Terra Madre, all the different people coming. We're all eaters. I'm excited to introduce the panel. Yes, I'm Kathy, and I'm from TomKat Ranch in Pescadero, California, along the coast side. And I can't wait to introduce my panelists, but this is the Roots of Change by Direct, Grow Change, Regenerative Ranchers share how direct sales heal the land and support ranchers. This is going to be about regenerative ranchers are building relationships with people seeking healthy and delicious meat. I don't know if you heard about the nutrient density workshop over with Stefan and Mary. Hear how these direct relationships heal the land, sustain ranchers, and diminish the power of the big three meat corporations that control 85% of the market. So our guests today include Carrie Richards. A little background about Carrie is she's helping her siblings run a fourth generation family ranch in Oregon House near Grass Valley. Before returning to the ranch, Carrie was actually a professional photographer. After researching the health benefits of grass-fed beef and clean eating, she and her siblings started Richards Regenerative, converting the family ranch from conventional to regenerative grass-fed beef. Our other panelist is Jason Walker from StarWalker Ranch. He's a third-generation owner of StarWalker Organic Farms up near the Marble Mountains west of Shasta. As one of the first certified organic farms in the 80s, organic farming was a way of life for Jason. He and his wife, Christina, wanted to continue the tradition of organic farming. Soil health has been the center of how they grow and raise food. So let's get started. Our first question, Carrie, why don't you answer this in your own words? Tell us a little about the business, how you got started, who your customer base is, and I can repeat these, and why you got into regenerative as opposed to conventional, like selling to the livestock auction yard.
Okay. Again, my name is Carrie Richards. We got into ranching in 1941, which is when my great-grandfather purchased the property. I grew up going there. I was a part-time ranch kid, so I didn't grow up there full-time. But when I was in my 20s, I started to have some health issues. And like Kathy alluded to, I started researching the benefits of buying from the farmer's market and eating cleaner. And what I found was pastured meats was really nutrient-dense option. And I was like, we already have cows. Why aren't we grass finishing them? Fast forward to now I know why. It's hard, guys, turns out. Turns out it's hard. But so we convinced my dad to grass finish some animals. We started selling wholes and halves to family and friends. And then was born Richards Grass-Fed Beef, which is now Richards Regenerative. How I got into regenerative was the meat company was growing, which was really great. I was living in the Bay Area with two tiny kids. And we needed someone to go to the ranch to do all of the data. We were American Grass-Fed certified. And my dad was not doing spreadsheets. He was not going to do the paperwork. And so we were driving up and down the hill, counting cows, sorting cows, re-tagging them if they got an antibiotic. And we realized that somebody needed to be up there. Well, he didn't feel that way, but we moved up there. And as soon as I got up there, I quickly realized I had no idea what I was doing. And I reached out to Kathy because she was an American grass-fed producer. This was just like happenstance. And she said, there is the holistic training that's happening soon. And so it was through Land to Market Savory Institute. Once I learned about regenerative, I got all excited and I went home and I told my dad all about it, and he crossed his arms and he just shook his head. So after some time, I convinced him to let me start trying some of these practices, which was moving the animals off the grass quicker. As you saw in the video that was playing earlier, we put up electric line, we blew it, the animals got mixed up. It was a whole mess, but we figured it out. And I dove into the regenerative pool head first, and it's been an adventure, it's been a ride, but our property is a lot healthier. We only buy 2 loads of hay a month or a year instead of 12. And we've really brought the health back to our land. So that's my long-winded answer, and I think maybe I answered all your questions.
You did, thank you. And I know your dad sold to the conventional kind of livestock auction yard. So is he starting to see the land benefits and see what you've done to the ranch?
Yes. Dad's a tough cookie. He's given me a attaboy here and there a few times. I've been there for 7 years. But he did tell me once that I couldn't go grass in one of the fields. So I grew some grass in that field. It was a good time. I felt very proud. But we were cow-calf. So what that means is we'd raise animals to a certain weight and we'd send all the babies to the auction. We'd finish a few cows here and there for family and friends. And then that's where we developed the grass-fed business, was from there. But we were a traditional cow-calf operation. And now we are a producer into our grass-fed operation. Our cousin, who's also a Land to Market certified property, we have a property down south in Santa Barbara that we lease that's also Land to Market. We work with TomKat Ranch sometimes, and we have a couple other producers that are all Land to Market certified, and they all sell into our program.
Awesome. That's cool. So, Jason, I know that your family has had this ranch for many, many generations. Did they always raise cattle? And if not, when did the cattle come in? And were they ever in the conventional system? And why did you make that switch?
All right. I'll hit all those subjects. First, I'm Jason Walker, StarWalker Organic Farms. We're based out of Fort Jones, California, which is, most people don't understand where that is. It's near Mount Shasta. We're just west of Mount Shasta, and we raise certified organic, ROC, which is regenerative organic, certified pigs and beef. And we also raise alfalfa and grains for our pigs. We've grown a lot in the last few years. Our family ranch has always been sort of small, but in the past 5 or 6 years, we've expanded it greatly, and we've expanded our herd size, our markets, and the reason we became organic over 45 years ago, before I was even born, was my parents were lied to by the chemical company, and they were told that they can't grow a crop, they can't produce good hay or good grains without spraying chemicals and putting fertilizers on it. And my dad, I always joke that he's an old hippie. I don't think he likes it when I say that, but I think he just knew that wasn't right, and he didn't feel like there was he felt like there was another way to go. So right about that time is when organic was kind of sprouting up and here and there, and I think California was kind of a hotbed for the first of organic, and so they went certified organic. That's all I knew as a kid. I grew up just thinking about organic. We grew all the crops, corn, sweet corn and potatoes and herbs and spices, and we also had some cattle. But then when I left the farm, when I was in my early 20s, I left the farm. My dad went pretty much just to hay. He got rid of the cattle. He took advantage of a high market, got rid of the cattle. He just didn't want to have to deal with them, and so he was just doing hay and a little bit of grain. So when I came back about 15, 16 years later, I knew that not only did I want to grow the farm, make it bigger, continue the organic system, but I also knew that I wanted to incorporate animals back into the system. And so we started off originally with just a small herd of Scottish Highland cattle, which have almost become kind of more of a mascot for us now. You know, we did grow, the herd is over 100 mother cows, but you know, we do have Angus now just to try to absorb some of the market demand. But the cattle are super important for the soil. We've known that for years. You know, my dad, even before he got rid of the cattle, was one of the first people to do intensive grazing. And he was, you know, when Gallagher was, it's a company that does intensive grazing stuff. When they first came about, he was one of the first people. And so I think everybody in our area thought he was crazy. And, you know, I've learned a lot just kind of going back into time of what he did and how he took care of the land. And I take those principles and I apply them to what we do now. And that's basically how we move all of our cattle around, is intensive grazing. And so about 2 years ago, we decided there was another option, you know, as Regenerative Organic certified ROC came around, and we thought, you know, we have been doing these practices for a lot of years, but we wanted to figure out, well, organics got co-opted a little bit by big ag, and you know, I feel like there was some people that were worried about, you know, just how certified organic you really were. And so when the ROC came around, we thought, you know, this is another tier above that puts on top of what we're doing organic, but we want to highlight the soil. So, you know, the regenerative is super important. Like, you know, we can talk about cattle, we can talk about pigs, we can talk about chickens, all that sort of stuff. But if we're not taking care of the soil, if we're not doing best what's for the soil, then we're not going to be growing good protein. And if we're not growing good protein, then we're not feeding our bodies well. So I think the regenerative movement is huge. Like let's go back and look at what we really need to take care of, and that's the soil. And so being ROC certified, and you know, everything that the regenerative movement is going towards right now is something we want to support, and support other farmers that are doing it, because that's the most important part, because otherwise we're not going to have the soil, we're not going to have healthy animals, and the only way we have a business is to be able to have healthy animals. So I did forget a portion of that question, yes. Where's our market?
Yes.
I know that was important. So our market's changed over the years. When we first started, we were kind of like a little bit of direct to consumer, doing multiple farmers markets. We weren't really sure what the direction was. We've grown quite a bit since then. You know, we're in retail now. We're doing a lot of direct to consumer. We're working on value add products. We also bought our own processing plant to control the chain. So right now we're vertically integrated, which is pretty awesome, you know, all the way through animals, all the way to our brand that sells into retail and direct to consumer. But our market is anybody who wants you know, organic regenerative products, and you know, we definitely want to support that movement.
Great answer. And wow, your dad sounds like he was really an outlier, and good for you for bringing the cattle back. It's so important to our soil. So I'm going to stick with you right now. Sure. Next question is, when someone buys your meat, how does this contribute to your land stewardship and goals?
Yeah, so I mean, it's the most, you know, probably beyond taking care of the soil, it's the most important part. You know, we want to take care of our customers. Our customers are super important. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing without loyal customers that believe in what we're doing. And so, I mean, I think really at the root of it is, you know, my heart is in taking care of the soil and taking care of the animals, but I also want to provide good protein to people. I think that's important. I think the industry at large, you know, like Kathy mentioned earlier, the big three meat packers are kind of taking over and co-oping beef. And I think we need to understand that we can have, anybody can go buy beef, but are you getting good, nutritious beef? Are you getting beef that's good for your body? Is it fueling you? Is that animal healthy? You know, and that goes no different with pork. You know, most people went away from buying pork because they knew that, you know, I think it's 99% of pork is raised indoors on GMO feed. They never see daylight. So people kind of went away from pork, but you know, we're trying to bring that back. You know, all of our pigs are raised outdoors. They they spend 100% of their life from birth all the way through their one bad day outside and digging and rooting and getting sunshine and rain and whatever else. So we want to take that good protein and we want to be able to feel people's bodies. And when we feel people's bodies and they feel good, then they're going to do well. And it's the system. We got to keep it intact.
Yeah, we really need to educate consumers because I don't think they realize how animals really need to live outdoors, need to feel the soil, need to roll in mud and eat green grass. It's so important because if we're going to eat animals and they're in cages with dock tails and whatnot, it's going to impact us, our planet, and the animals. So thank you for that. Carrie, do you want to answer that question? When someone buys your meat, how does this contribute to your land stewardship and your goals overall?
Well, the most obvious answer is we have to sell our product to keep going. So it's really important to us that we are creating the most nutrient-dense products, just like everyone here on this panel knows how important that is for our customers. We sell directly off the farm. We also sell retail. We also sell into the school system, which we're really proud of. But it's really great when people come visit our place. We do a farm dinner, and I always say that, like, if someone comes to our property, they end up a customer for life because they get to see, they get to feel, they get to touch, they get to understand what regenerative means, because the word is a confusing word. And what it really means to our operation is we are improving the soil with our land management. So we are making sure not to leave the animals on certain pastures too long at certain times of year and give those grasses time to grow back. We also raise pigs, a very small operation. They actually live in the trees, and we use them to root up all of that underbrush under the trees, and then we move the pigs out and then bring in the cows. And so we kind of use them when their natural way of rototilling the ground. And that way we don't have to go in there with machinery. And then they get to root and eat all the delicious snacks under the soil. And we don't have to start up the tractor and pay $1,000 every time you start that sucker up, because I swear to God, that's how much it costs. But anyway, to be honest, like, you guys buying our product means we can continue to do what we're doing.
It's your livelihood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Caleb from Fogline yesterday said he doesn't like the word regenerative, and so I'm just going to throw the word resilience, because I think what you guys are doing on your ranches and land makes your property more resilient to adapt to our climate change, whether it be atmospheric river storms, droughts, or fires. Okay, Carrie, I'm going to stick with you.
Okay.
What are some of the challenges you face when asked why your prices aren't competitive with the standard supermarket beef? And I'm talking like the JBS, the Tyson, the Cargills.
Whew. Do we have 5 hours to talk about this? My cow goes to the processor. A JBS cow goes to the processor. My ground beef comes out $10 a pound. Theirs comes out $4 a pound. What happened, guys? Well, they own the processing plant. They own the trucking companies. They own all the things. I am just a small producer, so I'm paying the highest price. I am paying for the labels. I'm paying for the storage. I'm paying for all the things. So that's one factor. Another factor is blending. A lot of these big companies, they do buy a ton of U.S. beef, but they blend it with cheap product from other countries. And so they can keep their trim price down and then sell their, prime cuts for whatever they want, make a gajillion dollars on the margin. I don't have that luxury. We don't do that. We are just a home-based, California-based company. So that is just some of the factors. Our practices are very simple. actually. We don't do a lot of inputs. I've done some compost application, and I've done a little bit of cropping to get some more nutrients in the soil, but I really just move the cows at the right time and the right time of year, and that's our practices. That's our main practices. So it's not like it's costing that much more. It's the messy middle, we like to call, when the cow goes into processing. Not at your place, because you guys are good. They're vertically integrated, which is like such a luxury for operations at our size. But yeah, when it goes into that messy middle and it comes out and you get this giant invoice and you're like, wait, what? I gave you 10,000 pounds. How come I got 7,000 back? And so anyway, those are just some of the factors of why our product the price is higher.
Yeah, very good explanation. So do you want to answer that, or do you want me to repeat the question about when somebody asks you why your prices are higher than what they're going to find in like a Safeway or a general supermarket?
Carrie answered that really well, but my simple thing would be is what are you actually getting? Are you getting a nutrient-dense, happy, low-stress animal? No. You're getting something that was almost 100% grain-fed and spent most of its time in a feedlot. So I would definitely say that just if you care about the animals and you care about how they're treated and you want good protein, you're going to have to pay more for it.
Very good answer. And I think I just want to add something here, because a lot of people will ask, well, I like grain-fed. Well, that's fine, but what it basically does, I had a chef explain this to me, is the fat content is much higher. It basically is coating your tongue, and then you're not even actually tasting the terroir, the true flavor of that meat. So this whole event is about slow food. We need to stop, take a bite of food, close our eyes, and imagine where it came from, whether it is raised on pastures at StarWalker or Richard's Ranch, or you're eating a blueberry. Those tastes are important, so think of that. So Jason, how do direct sales influence your financial equation?
The direct sales are our backbone. We started direct to consumer. The margins are better direct to consumer. We have better, we can treat our customer, really good direct to consumer. So I think we base a lot of our decisions around what our direct to consumer customers want. And, we listen to the feedback that we get from them, and, that definitely affects the way we, the cuts we're doing, the value-added products we're doing. We also have an influence in retail mainly because we want to attract more direct-to-consumer customers. It's hard to acquire a customer, and sometimes you can get a new customer by them seeing it on a store shelf, and they search your website and they see that they can go buy it themselves, and we try to give those people, good discounts and, show them that we appreciate them. But direct-to-consumer is really the backbone, I think, of our business, even though we do a lot of other stuff as well. But, those customers are the ones that have been with us from the beginning, and they're going to stay with us forever, and that's really important to us.
It's so true. I mean, we're a very tiny business compared to these two, and our business is about highlighting the work that you guys do. But when I see a customer from, say, 2010, I'm like, it just kind of gives me goosebumps. So that's important. Carrie, do you want to answer that question? How does direct sales influence your financial equation?
Ooh, financial equation. Yes, same thing. Direct to consumer. We do an online deliver at your door service. But honestly, buying straight off the farm is the absolute best way to buy from someone like us. I don't know how often you guys do that, but our whole and half operation has tripled since 2020 because the beef prices just keep going up and people really want to know where their food comes from. So we get a lot of requests for whole and half animals for our pork and our beef. So that is the absolute best way to buy from us. The second is delivered to your door, which we do through a third-party company because it's just my brother and my sister and I. So we hired a company that we ship them pallets of product, and then they manage all of our online sales for us. So those two avenues are the best for us. We did kind of similar what you're saying about retail, having a retail presence. We have a retail presence in Sprouts, and that's a good way for people to see our product, maybe look us up, and then they can change to buying direct. Also, same reason we're on Amazon as well. It's more of just a presence so people can keep seeing our logo everywhere they go, and then if they reach out and want to buy direct, that's the absolute best way.
Thank you. So this next question is about processing. So I'm going to start with Jason because I'm thrilled that you guys took over the old Belcampo USDA and call it Star Harvest. So what role does local processing play in making direct sales actually viable?
So our processing journey has been quite a journey. When we started processing animals 6+ years ago, we had to go all over the place. We were going 4 hours one way, 5 hours the other. We were going to the coast. It was wherever we could get in, and then it was just a disaster trying to get the meat back and trying to put it in our freezer and then ship it and do all that sort of stuff. So for the past 5 years, we knew we had to solve that problem. We had to figure out processing, and so our original plan was to build something, and we started off very small on that scale, and we thought, okay, this is what we're going to do, and then the old Belcampo facility became available, and so we jumped right in there, and we thought at first, hey, this is a little intimidating. This is quite a big facility, and how are we going to do this? So we definitely leaned on anybody local that wanted to bring their animals in, which we soon realized after being there for about 1.5 years now that we've been able to fill it up, and we're also looking at like, okay, we still want to take care of local customers because it's definitely it's a need. I mean, it's hard for people to find processing close to where they are, and we want to be that processor that helps local people out. But as we've been growing our business, we're also realizing too that there's obviously we're the most important at the plant, but taking care of our community and making sure people have that access to local processing is super important. And we're going to grow and expand that business so that we can try to take care of everybody else who's within our vicinity. And it helps other people that want to do what we're doing. They want to have a small direct-to-consumer, or they want to do farmers markets. It's nice for them to be able to have a local facility that they can get all their stuff done at. So we want to be able to help there and also build our business at the same time. But processing is almost, I would say, one of the biggest hang-ups when you want to be a meat company. So having reliable, consistent, somebody that'll take care of you and grow with you is super important.
It is such a huge issue, and just in the amount of time I've been in this business since 2010, there's always ups and downs and closures of one or the other, and where you're going to get into, and trying to figure out when you're going to have your cattle ready to harvest. It's a nightmare. So I know, Carrie, you have to rely on your local processors. So how does that impact your viability of sales, et cetera?
Yeah, actually, Jason, I have a question. Do you cut all the way down to retail at your processing plant, right? Meaning steaks and grinds?
Yes.
Okay. So that's actually not normal in this state. So what we have to do is we send our animals to get harvested down in Merced. So for our animals up in Northern California, that's an 8-hour drive. It's not ideal. Then they go into what they call box beef. So it's like the whole rib, the whole strip loin, trim. Then it goes to our distributor where it's then processed again. So there's 2 trips before it becomes a steak. Another cost. Every time it gets in a truck, every time the box is open, every time the knife touches that meat, it's another cost. So that's why when you're not vertically integrated, you just kind of get hammered every time along the way. So it's been a journey for us. Our processor is in Merced. We love them. We've been with them for 8 years, but we pivoted to a distributor model. We used to have 5 employees and 4 warehouses and run all over the place, and we just needed to simplify. So we sell all of our product to a distributor called Cream Co. Meats, and they manage all of that processing for us. So we sell them whole hanging beef, they pay us, and then we help them market everything. And our biggest advantage with working with them is the schools and UC Davis program. So we were able to get all of our trim, which is the grind product, and like fajita meat and stuff like that, all into the California schools and some of the UC Davis health hospitals and a couple other UC colleges. So we've kind of simplified, and it's been great, but we still, our product still has all those steps. So it is more expensive than anything from JBS.
So getting into, thank you, Carrie, into hospitals and institutions makes me think, Carrie, is there a way, do you think that the regenerative grass-fed ranchers can actually make an impact on the sales of meat, so that 85% of meat sales that currently go to the big 3, do you think we can make a dent, the regenerative ranch movement, and how?
Okay, yes, I do. I'm very bullish on this, and in my talk yesterday, I brought it up like 4 times. But some of these bigger companies, like the UCs, like the UC Davis, big meat companies that buy massive amounts of trim, if they can commit to smaller meat companies like us for multi-year contracts, then we can actually grow our businesses. Right now, we get a commitment for a couple months. Maybe we get it for a year if we're lucky. And then Jason and I get thrown on the top of somebody's yearly annual cover. And it's like, look at us, we're supporting Regenerative. And then we call them on Monday morning, January 1st, and they're like, well, we're not going to buy any more product. And we're like, what? What happened? So it's, if people in the positions of power, which I hate to say it that way, but in these larger meat companies, in the school districts, in the UC Davises, in the UC Santa Cruz, if they can commit to us for more than just a year, more than 6 months, more than just a one-time bulk buy, then we can grow this whole thing. But right now, it's a little bit onesie-twosies. UC Davis has been our best partner in this.
Thank you for that. And I know commitment is key, and sometimes some of these institutions and schools feel, oh, I've got to buy from California producers, so I'll buy this for one day and it checks the box. No, please people, commit to our California local ranchers and farmers doing these practices. So Jason, do you want to add how, or do you think we can actually band together and make a...
Yeah, I think we're already in the movement. My biggest thing is education. People need to understand why maybe regenerative meat is better than something else that they're buying. And that just doesn't mean people that are buying it direct to consumer, people going to the stores. I'm talking like we need to educate some of the retailers, we need to educate some of the wholesalers, and we need to understand that the demand is out there. The customers are asking for it, and they need to have some help with the retailers and everybody that's in that chain, educating on why it's better. And now we're going to get pushback. The big food, the processors are definitely going to get pushback. But if we start a movement, which I feel like, in my opinion, we've started, I think we can educate people. And when the demand grows at the stores, the retailers are going to demand it. The distributors are going to have to stock it. And then they're going to be coming knocking on doors of producers that have been doing it right, and they need to find a home for their product. And I think we're just beginning that process. It's not going to be overnight. It's going to take a few years, but I think if we all band together and the people demand it, that's what's going to come.
I totally agree. I think that as we start using the word regenerative, then they jump on and they start using regenerative. Same with sustainability. Well, guess what? Now we're starting to learn that our practices on the land show that our meat is more nutrient dense. What are you going to do then? So I think time is primed. We're ready to go. Okay, so I have one more question before I open it up to all of you, and that is, Jason, tell everyone where they can find your meat.
So the best place is our website. It's StarWalkerOrganicFarms.com. You can access pretty much everything we have there. Also, we are in various retailers. We're in Amazon. And I think if you search for us online, you can probably find out where we're at.
Thank you. And Carrie?
Same thing, RichardsRegenerative.com. Our booth is right over there, too, so if you forget, you can come find me. We're also on Amazon, Twins, and also we are in all of the Sprouts in California, Nevada, and Arizona.
Thank you. And now let's open it up to audience questions.
So yesterday you were speaking about that you sent your beef away to be tested. Could you speak more about that?
Yes, we are partaking in a program through the company Audacious, and they have a lab where they're doing nutrient testing on beef and milk, I heard, and chicken. Are those the three? And now all produce. This is getting really good. So we've sent it from 4 out of the 5 ranches that we work with so far. And the omega 3 to 6 ratio is very in favorable of the omega 3s, which is really exciting. Very rich in vitamin B, all the vitamin Bs, selenium, and zinc. We had no traces of heavy metals and 0 glyphosate. So we were super thrilled to get these tests back because there's finally some information that says what you're doing actually is benefiting the animal because the animal's more metabolically healthy and the soil's healthier. It also compares us to conventional grass-fed, and our numbers are all above all of those. So it's so relieving to finally have some scientific proof that what you're doing actually is producing a product that is technically healthier and has more vitamins and phytonutrients and all the things that Stefan was talking about over there.
And again, I'm going to go back to flavor because phytonutrients are higher in the meat. It means more flavonoids. Flavonoids equal flavor. All right, another question from the audience. Don't be shy.
I was really interested in this idea of vertical integration and how you guys doing your own processing made it much more possible, I guess, to be profitable and also streamline your operation. Considering there's some larger challenges around processing, is that like a gold star solution of where things have to go? We need to have more processing plants owned by like people who have ranches themselves. I'm just curious about solutions in that space and the direction that things are going.
That's a great question. Like, do we need to have more processors that are owned by the producer? Probably not, but do we need more processors for sure? I think the biggest hang up people have is if they're not on a big scale, can they get in somewhere? If you call up, you've got some animals and you call up and it's like, oh, we're a year out, that's not going to benefit your program. So I think that having access to more processors is important. There's a scale thing, obviously, when you are going to have your own processing. You want to be able to maintain a certain scale. It's expensive, and especially if you're going to be USDA, it's just a whole nother level. But I think that if we can have more, whether it's producers or more people with smaller processing facilities scattered about the country, it's going to really benefit the movement in a general sense. But yeah, being vertically integrated has helped us a ton. We don't have to wait for a slot somewhere. We can change on a dime. We can decide, hey, we're going to make ground beef all this week because it's selling like crazy. We're going to make jerky. We have that capability, and we can change that on a dime. So not everybody's going to be able to do that, and I understand that's tough. But like Carrie brought up too, there's a lot of steps and a lot of costs in between when you don't have that option, and that was one of the reasons why we stepped up to the plate and did it, because we knew that we couldn't be hampered by having those extra costs and those extra hang-ups in if we wanted to grow. And so I think that being said, just the more the merrier. So I hope that we can get some money out there so that other people can do what we
I think it's
we've
also
done as well.
important to realize that the small slaughter facilities that are out there, we need to support them. So as ranchers, we need to make a commitment. So I was also on the other side of processing, and to have a producer say they're bringing 10 animals and then they show up with 5, that means my staff, my labor is now, what are they doing for the rest of the day? So it goes both ways, and yes, there's mistakes made on both sides, but I mean, listening to Carrie talk about how long she's been committed to this one slaughterhouse is huge. So thank you for that. And yes, we need more processors. So Carrie, I wanted to ask a question of the getting into the institutional market. And I'm hoping, actually, Jason, you're interested in maybe getting into some of your institutions in your area. Let's make that happen. But I want to hear, that's no easy feat. How did you do that?
Well, I have a pamphlet over there that explains the 20 operations it took to get into the school system. So there were 5 ranches, and the rest was all nonprofits and government entities like CDFA. It was a big feat just to get into the school district. I thought you could just sell some meat to the local school, and sometimes you can, but at any sort of scale, it took a lot. It took a lot of work. So part of the issue is a lot of schools don't have kitchens, so we had to do a cooked product. Part of the issue is they send it all to a centralized kitchen and then they deliver it. So there's extra costs there. And so they don't want to spend more on better meat. A lot of it is this is the way we always done it, and they don't want to change. So it was an ordeal. So Kathy was a part of and TomKat Ranch was part of a big group. They all came up to the ranch, our property, and we had one committed customer. It was Vacaville School District. And bless Juan, he is an amazing man, and he got up there in front of 15 other school food nutrition specialists, and he was like, this is possible. I buy from the Richards program. I buy a cooked burger and I buy a raw burger. The cooked burger goes to my schools that don't have a kitchen, and the raw burger goes to the ones that do. And he just basically laid it out. And then from that point, we got, I think, 5 schools. And then the next year it was 10 schools. And now we're up to 41 schools. And it really, really took a group of people coming together and saying, we can do it. Because a lot of these schools, they commit to Cisco or they commit to US Foods, or they make these commitments and they can only buy a certain percentage outside of that distributor. And so they have to make a case to the school that says, this distributor does not have what the Richards program is offering. So it's the schools that have committed to us, bless them, because they have jumped through hoops to make it happen. So the answer is it's been a journey. but so we started this journey in 2018, I think.
Yes.
And just this year, my kids' school got our burgers. I mean, it's been a circus. However, we have a program now. Our distributor makes the cooked burger, makes the raw burger, and has a full-on distribution program for the schools now. But it took a lot of us to make it happen.
It did. I remember countless meetings over and over. And it does take one individual nutrition services director that's really committed. I think maybe we have time for one more question. Yes.
So I'm a nurse and I work at a hospital. And we have a lot of meals that go out every day. And one of the things that frustrates me is it should be called sick care instead of health care, because we're feeding these people food that I don't even know if it's real food. So one thing that I've been pushing in our organization is trying to at least get a juice bar. Let some people at least have some healthy vegetables from local farmers, things like that. So how does our organization, it's a small rural hospital that is a non-for-profit, how do we get in communication with you to help us?
Where are you located?
Grass Valley, California.
Hi, friend. I live in Grass Valley, California. So our distributor would distribute to you, but I think you're looking for some bigger change. Have you met Santana from UC Davis? Okay, he's the guy. He is the one that has changed the food system at UC Davis Health. He buys locally when he can. He buys California almost exclusively, and he is the reason why we have a hospital program. So he's the guy.
And I would just add, and yesterday we were here, so Santana was sharing that I think now 6 of the 10 UC health systems or campuses are now selling the regenerative beef.
Yes.
And we just want to get it to the full system. So Roots of Change can help you with that one as well. But Kathy,
Yes.
we can wrap up. Go ahead. You want to?
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Jason and Carrie.
We hope you enjoyed the show. Please share it with your friends and listen to our next monthly episode of Flipping the Table, hosted by Roots of Change, a program of the Public Health Institute, a nonprofit organization dedicated to building a healthier world.